was called The Source, and it traces the Jewish peoples. It's James Michener. So what he does, he has like 50 researchers that research his books. Then he writes a fictional work that's historically accurate. So you may be reading about a character that is not historically accurate, but everything that's happening around that character is historically accurate. So he's my dad was way into him, and I never cared, but someone told me I should read The Source, and it's about the Jewish people. So I thought, oh man, I really want to read that, and I can't remember any of the details now, but you're reading way back then. It starts with the Jewish people, caveman times. Okay, before they're even Jewish. There's no Jewish yet, and it traces this group of people all to right after World War II, and and I can't remember the details, but the level of horrors that I saw inflicted upon the Jews and the Jews inflicting upon others, and that just existed in the world was immense, and sometimes so grotesque, difficult to read. And you think, wow, people, it used to be so bad. I remember all through this book, I would say, man, the world used to be a rough place. And, and I didn't know I was doing this, but I was thinking, I didn't think this thought, but I was taking comfort without knowing it. I was taking comfort that, well, at least it only used to be like this. And and the book was slowly getting towards the end. It's this thick and the print is tiny. It's 600. It's a massive book, and it just goes forever and ever. And so you've got all this time to think, oh, but it used to be. It used to be, and then but it got closer and closer to modern times, and you're thinking it used to be, and it used to be, and this it seems unlikely, but this really happened to me. I got to the last page, and I finished it, and it was post World War II, and it was the first time I realized that it didn't used to be that way, that we still lived in those times, and there was nothing different at all, that the world hadn't changed, it hadn't progressed, and that horrors could be and maybe would be still inflicted upon humanity from very, just whatever groups. It didn't matter in this book. It was just what we all did. And and I remember reading the last page, and I really did feel my heart just drop. It just sank. And I thought, oh my gosh, um, we don't live in the magical world that I thought we lived in. I remember this happening. And I was also kind of a new age person, and we were sort of believing that, I think it wasn't 2012, that was the one that came after. By then I was jaded. Do you remember 2012 was supposed to be when everyone woke up and everyone was so excited, and I wasn't, because 1998 was when Edgar Casey said it would happen, and so I knew a bunch of people that were just ready for the world, because we were waking up spiritually. The world was going to magically transform. And we just were like, this is so great, and you could feel so much power flowing through you from God, and we just believed we were just going to magically like our awakening was just going to bleed over onto other people and wake up the world, and we were almost out of the woods. And that was 1998, and I had some friends. This is way too much information, but I remember I was in these people's sort of bachelor pad, bunch of guys way into meditation on a spiritual path, and they said, "What do you do?" And I said, oh, I'm going, got to take a class at the college." And they said, "Why?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is. I just wanted to go to college." And they said, "What's the point where the world's going to transform and end soon? So why go to college?" And so I saw this experiment play out where a lot of people sort of wasted their lives hoping on this magical awakening that didn't come. And then 1998 was the date, and it didn't happen. Nothing happened. There were all these prophecies that were supposed to happen. They didn't happen. And then when the 2012 one came around, I didn't bite, and I'm prone to that. I like spiritual things, and I see a spiritual reality unfolding in the world, and I remember I just didn't buy it at all. And then I saw a bunch of other people bite the dust because those prophecies didn't come true. And so the point, though, that I'm making is that magical awakening that I was raised to believe would happen. It didn't happen. It didn't happen, and all suffering, war, hunger, that was all going to go away. Because, and it would, by the way, if everyone had a massive spiritual awakening, kind of overnight, all that stuff would end. We would stop it. We just would. We would share. We would give. Everyone else would. Everyone would work. If everyone had that awakening, it would radically transform the world. It's not that I don't believe that. I believe it more than ever, but it didn't, is the point. And when I got to the end of that page, I realized unconsciously I'd been holding out hope that there was going to be a page that said, and here's why none of this could happen again. And it didn't happen. And a certain level of naivety in me was destroyed that day. It was a real blow. I remember it really hurt me. It shook my worldview. And so here's where I don't want you to think it's going to get weird. I got to talk about politics for a moment, but don't worry, I'm not going to take sides or anything. I'm not going to do that. But I want to say that the shooting that happened in Utah yesterday, I'm again another just bit of naivety. I thought, so what? Don't get me wrong. I did feel sad for the man who was shot deeply. But when I said so what, I thought there's been so many political murders in the last 5 or 10 years. I thought, well, this is just where we are, and it's no big deal. And it turns out it's an existential moment for our country. It is an existential moment, and don't worry, I'm not going to tell you which side to choose or any of that. That's not what this is about at all. I would like to successfully avoid anything like that. But in reading these kind of books and this kind of literature, what I found out is that Christians, it's Buddhists too and Hindus too, but Christians, they often fail as poorly or worse than other groups in times of deep crisis. And they're often they seem to be, there may be times where this isn't true, and I mean, I'm not a historian, but so many parts of history that I read about when things really fell apart, the Christians were no different. They were just as angry. They were just as hateful. They were just as divided. They were just as partisan. Oh, and sometimes more than other groups. And when you're deeply religious, you believe in God, and you know there's a God because you're experiencing God, miracles, all that. When you know there's God, it's hard to square that round hole when you think, okay, so religion is this force for good, but often as a group, religious people, not just Christians, just any group, but Christians behave terribly. And they choose hatred and anger and death and castigation and persecution over forgiveness and love. And I'm just this little guy teaching this little contemplative community over here. And I just want to say, please, not on my watch. Please don't be these people. Don't do this. You can have your opinion on what you think is right and wrong. You should. It should be formed by the Gospels. You should have that. But don't hate. Don't do this. I told Jill today, what I care about is that when I'm dead, I don't have any new people here, so I don't know how to say this, because we don't believe in hell. We just believe in heaven. Everyone goes, Christian or not. It's a commonly held idea in the Christian religion. It's called universalism. That's what I am. I think everyone's going to heaven eventually, no matter what. But I also know that heaven is a state of pure love. And you can't go until you're willing to love everyone. Everyone. You don't get held out at the gates. It's not like you want to get in and they're like, nope, you stay out. They say, look, here it's not just a place, it's a state. And we would let you in. We love you. We want you in, but you don't love everyone, so that's what in is. There's God's love goes out to all of creation infinitely, and if you won't love everyone, that's okay. You're not in trouble, but then you can't have the fullness of God flowing through you, which is what heaven consists of. And I told Jill, when I die, whatever happens in this apparently, possibly, a truly, I'm so naive, I had no idea this shooting could be such a pivotal moment, but apparently, for a lot of people, this is a deeply pivotal moment in our history. I'm shocked at that because I'm just like, I don't want to say the wrong words. I don't have my rubber band on, but I want it on. I remind me not to say things. I'm shocked at it because what's happening to me daily is just this increase in love and joy and freedom and happiness. And so when I hear how deeply some of these events affect people, I'm shocked. I'm just shocked. I just think, wow, I'm out of touch. I told Jill today, I am so out of touch. She said, this click, this is a, this, she said, she had some words, I can't remember. She had some powerful words for what this moment is. And apparently historians agree, and it's happening. Like, this is a big deal. And it shouldn't be. It's ridiculous. I mean, on all sides, man. Calm down. We are going to end up killing each other for no good reason. Because people have untreated mental illness. And they're spiritually sick. And I thought, on my watch, this is my little tiny community, people, don't be that. Don't do that. Don't be a part of that. Don't feed this. You probably can't stop the wheels from churning. You yourself, if you forgive, you're probably not going to change the course of world history because you forgave and loved. But man, have a clean conscience in your own heart and mind. Just don't be a part of this. Don't do this. Whatever this is, don't do it. And someone might, roll their eyes right now. They wouldn't say it out loud. Yeah, well, these are important issues. Hey, man, this is why Jesus said, love your enemies. Pray for those who persecute you. And pray for those who despitefully use you. And I don't think my love is going to change the course of world history. When I cross over, man, and now I want a clean slate on this. I got opinions. I've got opinions. Don't get me wrong. I'm not neutral. But man, I want to love. I want to love and I want to be free. And in some way that I can't see yet, I think these events, in times of trouble, there is often a chance to catch way, way, way more souls for truth and goodness. People, think about, I was talking to Jill about this too. I used to live in a poorer neighborhood and it was way more fun. Like you go for a walk at night and it's 10 o'clock at night, 10:30. Here, man, it's buttoned down, man. I'm in a freaking bed. It's quiet, everything, just perfect. And right on, but you go in these poorer neighborhoods and there's people out talking and walking around and kids are still playing. They should probably be in bed, but they're just out tearing it up, man. And you meet people and it's like you meet the neatest connections with people. And I've told her many times that in my experience we're all messed up, humanity has fallen, but in my experience, the professional world is sicker in a lot of ways than the blue collar world. And the reason why that is because Like everyone's got to have a reason to be proud, you know. My family was just proud because we could beat people up like that. If we even could. I mean, I don't know. We didn't do MMA, so it was before that though. So toughness mattered, you know. And we were like such a lame thing to have pride in, but also the world doesn't really care that you're all that tough. You don't get a whole lot of accolades for that. But if you're a professional, you've done something, your ego can be bulletproof. It just you know, not only do you believe it, but everyone around you believes it, and the system, they pay you for it. I mean, you know, you get, it's like you get treated like a human with dignity a lot of times if you're a professional. You call in, hey, I need a day off, something came up. That's not how it works at, you know, if you're a waiter or you work at Smith's, they rag on you about that. That's not okay. They don't give you human dignity. But if you're a professional, they're like, hey, take a couple of days. It's okay. We understand. You're given all this respect. And so if you have a false ego, which you do, and you're a professional, it's made more bulletproof by the world just saying, yes, yes, yes. Be that. We'll pay you to be that. Be a cog in the system for us. And so when you're trying to free people, it's doubly hard because try to get a doctor to be humble. You know what I mean? Like just try it. I'm working with one now, and he's an amazing person, actually. But you know, it's like he's got to give up his ego when he goes to work, and everyone says you're right all day long. Like he's got to give up being important, but everyone treats him like he's important all day. That's harder. That's what I'm saying. It's hard if you're an engineer. They're just so. So my point is this: when the system is shaken as it is right now, it perhaps existentially shaken. Perhaps. I mean, I can't feel it. I don't relate at all. I do not relate to this, but it seems to be existentially shaken. And to me, it seems like just calm down, meditate a few times, and it would just cool right off. Like I swear it would on all ends. And just like have your opinion, but so what? Calm down. It looks like the kind of chaos that a period of deep meditation erases, and you come out going, "Whoa, what was I thinking?" You know, like what was I thinking? That's I felt like that. Then I had a deep meditation, and now I feel great. It just changes everything, and that's happening right now. And in times like that, people um, people that are conformed to the world, people that are worldly, people that are, it's not, you know, like Christianity would say chasing worldly pleasures, but it's a lot more than that. It's being aligned to the world, not just like sex or money or, you know, we all have that, but it's deeper than that. And it's people that are aligned to the world who really are people of the system. And there's a lot of people like this. They believe in the system. They never had that moment where they get to the end of the book and you realize, oh my gosh, we are not okay. Like they haven't had that. They're just in the system. People like that in these times become very ripe ground for bringing God to them. Really ripe, profoundly ripe. They're ripe for other things too. They're ripe from extremism. They're ripe for violence. They're ripe for all kinds of problems too. But the point is, for us, contemplatives on this planet, okay, um, this is a time to catch souls. This is a time to catch souls, man. And the Holy Spirit is at work on the planet helping that happen. Waking people up, touching people, exploding their consciousness. The Holy Spirit is at work, but these people will need a place to land. They will need a community of healthy people to sort of show them the way a little bit. And I know you guys don't. I don't know anyone here. Like I've talked to people about these issues in private. I don't know anyone who hates, but just say, don't do it. Don't hate. If you hate, you are part of the problem. It's It's felt. That hate is felt. You know, they tune into whatever, I don't know what you are, but your side. And then the person from the other side tunes into you and they feel that hate and they just know you're bad. They just know you wish them ill. They just know it. Now then if they give in to temptation, they wish you ill. Don't do that. Don't be that shocking statistic of Christians who just go the wrong way, who just give in to hate. I don't want to see, and I doubt it's really happening much. I mean, if it is, it's really minor in here, but let's be different than that. Let's really be above that. For real. Um, and also, the last thing I want to say about this, that's it, by the way, that's as weird as it gets in here, which is the minefield of politics, man. And I don't want to be a part of it either. Plus, I've been told not to be, clearly, so I'm just not going to be. But uh, there also needs to be, for some of you, you accomplish this by just sticking your head in the sand. You don't know what's happening. I don't think that's the way, personally. I think that is irresponsible as a human being, as a Christian, and as a citizen. But having said that, you got to be detached, man. You got to be detached. You got to be really detached. You have to be detached enough that you are still growing in love and bliss, even if the world around you is kind of spinning out. You can't be so attached to the issues and so caught up in them that you are emotionally distraught over that to the point that God and your spiritual growth and serving humanity is not your primary focus. Can't be tanking out, can't be getting depressed, can't be getting angry, can't be getting frustrated. I mean, a moment of any of that is human. But you can't stay there. You can't. Because that, see, as far as I can tell, poking my head into the world yesterday and today, it's like, it seems to me ludicrous. The whole thing. How mad people are and upset, I cannot relate to this. I can't relate to it. It seems genuinely childish to me. And it's untreated mental illness. That's what it is. And okay, so that's my whole political. I'm gonna stop